So first day with the fans, I almost messed that up. I think our schedule had us on this field for whatever reason, and we'll be getting into the pads on Monday. Thought we had good work. The emphasis today, you saw a lot of third down today. You saw third down in 7-on-7. You saw third down team. You saw third down mixed with dog and blitz. Any questions? Yeah, we're checking. Look, early in practice, he tweaked his hamstring. He went in. We'll evaluate, see where he's at. Shoot, I had a note here. It's his 26th birthday, so he was supposed to break the team down. But we'll get a follow-up to see, how significant it is.
How much does a practice today, since fall training camp number 1, change from what you've done the last couple days since you don't have pads on?
Say that again?
Does it change much? I get there's fans here, but in terms of what
Yeah, look, anytime I think people are watching, it brings out, there's a little bit more competitive environment. I think that's the case from my experience, especially when you have a good turnout like we did. When you're practicing on that field, and I think it gets competitive.
Coach, you lost a good friend
yesterday? Someone that loved this league a lot, Mike Ornstein. Been with a lot of teams, had a long career in our league, was with me for quite a long time. I met him when we drafted Reggie Bush. He'd been sick of late. Our prayers go out to his family, Jackson, who's helping us out with video, and then his wife, Christy, they're at home in L.A. That was a tough one.
Sean, I know you like the digestion of the system from your quarterbacks. What about the execution from your quarterbacks?
Yeah, and look, I'm all for it. And there's things you have to evaluate sometimes. In other words, the pocket, was it broken down? Like, there's certain things that can take place that may affect their execution. And so when you're evaluating and you're grading the reps, you take all of that into account. But I like the way they're protecting the ball. I think they're working through their progressions. They all can move and they all can run some. And I think that's always been a plus in our league. So, they're getting a lot of looks thrown at them, especially, today with third down. But overall, there's a lot that goes into that evaluation.
Regarding that, turnovers play such a big part in this league. And when you have a quarterback competition, how do you encourage him still to be bold while protecting the ball?
Yeah, it's not bold. I think, look, how quickly, can you process? Can the ball come out of your hands? When we're working 3rd and 12, I'm telling them, hey, it's complete or incomplete. All right, punting the ball at that point is not a bad thing. When you start statistically looking at, what percentage of conversions are you going to have? So it's being confident in the route, in your what your eyes are seeing, and then look, it's a big part of what makes someone really successful in our league, and then what makes maybe someone not as successful is that fine line of I like it, I don't like it, I like it too much. That's what we spent a lot of time evaluating on college tape.
Do you have a different evaluation for the quarterback each day based on sort of what group they're with?
Yeah, that gets taken into it completely. Yeah.
You added Josh Reynolds in that second, third wave of free agency. What did you like about him? Where's he kind of fitting?
Well, he's flexible. He's smart. He's someone who's believe it or not, he's linear built, but he can block. I think he's got good hands in traffic, and I like his stature. I like his length. Johnny Morton, who's with us, worked with him in Detroit. So we had a little bit more knowledge of the player. He loves playing. If you guys are around him or you're interviewing him, and you see him in the mornings, he's one of those guys that's upbeat. It seems to be having a good day, and he really seems to enjoy what he's doing. So he's been a good addition.
Bo Nix looks to be kind of the fan favorite among the quarterback favorite among the fans. He gets the big cheers. Obviously, they don't choose the starting quarterback, you do. But how do you kind of look at him kind of being the fan favorite out there?
I think the fan favorite, from my experience watching practices, is whoever ends up on that side of the field running, whether it's a running back, receiver. I haven't really paid much attention to the fan favorite. I want the fan favorite to be someone that wins for us.
You did show us today that it was, Zach Wilson's turn. I was wondering, with the 3, could this be an unusual year where you keep 3 on the 53?
Possibly. It's a good question. Possibly.
So you mentioned yesterday you like some of the early things you're seeing from the secondary. When you guys looked at last year, what was it that you wanted to add in that group, whether it's trait-wise or something?
Yeah, I think we got younger. We had ball production at times, and I think one of the things we felt strongly about was, first seeing Riley's development, seeing Mathis develop. We've got some young players here we've invested in, and I think the reps they're getting now outside, I'm talking about the corners, have been really valuable. Now, in regards to the safeties, we saw Locke come on as the season progressed, and we went ahead and signed a few other players to come in, and we just felt like there was one area that we wanted to be younger, and we wanted more competition.
How did your vision for Garrett Bowles evolve from working with him last year to today?
Well, it's a little bit cleaner and easier just because of the position he plays. I'd say if there's one area that he's working on daily with Zach is landmarks in the run game. He's very natural at pass protection, getting to the right hat placements in the run game, whether he's play side or on the backside. I think some of those things are areas that he's worked quite a bit on.
Even though he's going in his 8th year, do you still see players like him improve and grow even as they're in their?
He's a tremendous athlete. He's extremely athletic, and and you don't feel 8 years. Sometimes you feel that when you work with a player. Other times you don't, and I don't feel that with him.
What are your thoughts on Levi Wallace since you've had him, and how does the competition stack up with the other cornerbacks?
Yeah, we've got a good, smart veteran player who's played in a lot of games. With the amount of multiple receiver sets we get, there's that level of expertise and experience he brings, steady. I think he brings something to the room as well, and I think quietly he's been a real good addition for us.
Yeah, we spent so much time talking safety, with especially Justin and K-Jack on. He's got 70 starts. How valuable is that leadership in the secondary?
Yeah, and I think it's important, and yet organically it will evolve. I think that I think if you're just watching the competition in the practices, it's much different right now than, in my opinion, than a year ago when I watched the film. And I think young and hungry can be very dangerous, and I've told them that. I think that can be very successful and just focus on the day and the improvement that day, and I think they've done a good job of that right now. And I think it's interesting. When a team changes year to year, there's a percentage more in the last 20 years than it used to be. It used to be, you had 2 or 3 draft picks, maybe beat out a veteran, and that was it. It's much different now. And so I'm anxious to see how this team develops, and really excited about it.
Do you have any, is there a concern level with Nick Benito?
No, I think you'll see him practicing tomorrow.
And at outside linebacker, you have obviously 3 guys that have played a lot in Jonah. The guys after that are sort of interesting, right? Like they're Chami and Tillman, who you brought in this offseason. What have you made of that down ballot group?
look, again, when we get into the pads and we get into the special teams, a lot of that's going to have a factor. But I know we're going to see Nick tomorrow.
Coach Kenny Chesney was out here. What's your relationship with him like? What's it like having him out here?
Yeah, I missed him. I saw him before. He was working out. I've known him 22 years now. The first time I ever met him was in 2002. I was with the New York Giants as the offensive coordinator. We had a practice, and he was just like, man, he was just hitting his stardom. There was a concert that night that he had, and the next morning our head coach called me. He said, "Hey, we got a problem." And I said, "Well, what's the problem?" He said, "We had 17 players miss bed check." And then when he told me who the players were, I knew they had to have been at that concert. I think it was some type of coup organized by Jeremy Shockey, and I think the idea being that if we stay together, this past offseason, Dan Campbell, who's in Detroit now as the head coach, sent me a copy of his fine letter because he was one of the players that missed bed check. I think it was $1,600. Now, the good news for us is I think he plays Saturday night here, and the players, fortunately for me, are off on Sunday. But I was just told, now when you're playing stadiums, it's different than playing arenas. Now, we're in 2024. This is 22 years later. And he's played that stadium as a musician more than any musician that stadium's seen. And so it was great to see him. It had been a minute, it'd been a while since I'd seen him last. He was a big part of our team's success way back in New Orleans. I did a music video with him and all of that. But he loves football. Now, we had a little problem today because his high school jersey number is 7. And, well, 7's kind of a special number here. And so I'm getting permission from John to see if we can't put Chesney on the back of a number 7 jersey. And I think Elway will be cooperative and it'll be a much different sized jersey as well. But it's good that he's here and playing in Denver tomorrow night.
Jonathan Cooper, a big part of his reason for jumping production was obviously the opportunity he had more of last year. But where did you see kind of just the growth from him?
I'd say the consistency. In other words, you saw it, and last year you began to see it on a more frequent basis, and I think it's awfully important to him. And I like coaching guys like that. All right. Thank you, guys.